Hey, welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about how your computer just knows that your name is different from your age, or that your age is different from your bank account balance? Well, the secret behind all of that is something called a data type. Today, we're going to break down exactly what they are, and more importantly, why they are the absolute foundation of how we organize pretty much everything in the digital world. Let's pull back the curtain and see how it all works. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the basics. What even is a data type? Then we'll get into why it's so important. After that, we'll explore the most common types you'll see everywhere, and even some cool specialized ones. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with how to pick the perfect one for any job. All right, let's kick things off with a simple question. When you see the number 500 and the name Sonia, you instantly get it. One's for counting, the other's a name, easy. But a computer, it just sees a bunch of ones and zeros. So how does it know the difference? Well, that's the big secret we're about to unlock. Okay, let's not wait any longer. Let's jump right in and define what a data type actually is. So, at its heart, a data type is just a label. It's a classification that tells the computer two really critical things. First, what kind of information it's looking at, and second, what it's allowed to do with that information. A great way to think about it is to imagine a database as a big digital filing cabinet. The data types, they're the different folders inside. One for text, one for numbers, one for photos. Each folder is built to hold one specific kind of thing. Now, before we start looking inside all those different folders, let's talk about why this is so important. Why not just have one giant folder for everything? Why does it matter so much? Well, using the right folder or the right data type has some amazing benefits. For starters, it saves a ton of space. A simple number just doesn't need as much room as a long paragraph. But more importantly, it keeps your data accurate. See, if you tell the computer that age must be a number, you stop anyone from accidentally typing in 25 as text. This prevents all sorts of weird errors. Imagine the computer trying to add your age, 30, to someone else's, which is stored as the text 35. It would just crash. It wouldn't work. So this organization keeps things clean, fast, and reliable. It's a no-brainer, really. All right, it's time. Let's open up that digital filing cabinet and take a look at the most common folders. These are the data types you are going to see absolutely everywhere. And we'll start with text. Now for text, things get pretty interesting right away. Imagine you have a box that has exactly 10 spots for letters. If you use char and you only put in 2 letters, like hi, the system still saves all 10 spots, just filling the rest with empty space. But varchar is much smarter. It's like a variable or stretchy box. You put in hi, and it shrinks down to use only 2 spots. This makes it way more efficient for things like people's names, because, they all have different lengths. And what about the really, really big stuff? Like a whole blog post or a super long product description. For that, there's a special data type called text. Just think of it as the giant expandable folder for holding entire documents. Okay, next up, numbers. This is a big one. When you're dealing with whole numbers, things you can count, like your age or how many items are in stock, you use something called an integer. But what if you need to be super precise, like when you're dealing with money? For that, we need the decimal type. It's designed to handle numbers with decimal points, making sure every single cent is perfectly accounted for. And of course, we always need to know when something happened, right? That's where date and time data types come in. They are built for just that. You can store just the date, like for a birthday, or you can store a complete timestamp, which captures the date and the exact time down to the second. That's super important for things like financial transactions. So we've covered the basics, text, numbers, and dates. But beyond that, there are some really cool specialized tools for unique kinds of information. Let's check out a few of them. Okay, the Boolean data type might just be the simplest one of all. It's basically a light switch. It can only be in one of 2 positions. True or false, yes or no, on or off. That's it. And it's incredibly useful for answering direct questions like, is this item in stock? The answer is either yes, which is true, or no, which is false. Now, remember how we said decimal is great for precision? Well, for money, some systems go a step further and have a dedicated currency type. This is a brilliant example of why this stuff matters. This data type is specifically designed to prevent those tiny little rounding errors that can turn into huge problems in financial calculations. It has one job: handle money perfectly. So what happens when you need to store not just a little bit of text or a number, but an entire file, like a photo or a PDF document? For that, we have a type called an attachment, or sometimes you'll hear it called a blob. All you need to know is it's like a digital container. It lets you put an entire file, like your profile picture, a scanned ID card, or a report, right inside your database. Okay, so we've seen the filing cabinet and all the different folders inside. We've got text, numbers, dates, and even special files. So how do we make sure we're always picking the right tool for the job? It's actually a pretty simple three-step process. First, just stop and really understand your data. Ask yourself, what kind of information is this really? Is it a whole number, a name, a simple yes or no? Second, choose the most specific and efficient folder you can find. Once you do that, you get to the third step. Build with confidence, knowing your data is organized, safe, and efficient. And really, that's what it all boils down to. Getting the data type right at the very beginning isn't just some small technical detail, it's the foundation. It's the first step you take to build systems that are strong, trustworthy, and made to last. It all starts with putting your information in the right folder. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Next time you pick up your phone, look at the apps you use every single day. Your contacts, your music playlists, your calendar. Now that you know about data types, can you kind of see them working behind the scenes, keeping everything organized? Think about it. How is the data in your life already structured? Thanks for joining me.